Hey there, you're watching the Jessa channel on YouTube. I'm Jessa, and today I am here with another episode of The Raven, Legacy of a Master Thief. We are here on board the MS Lydia. Our character, Constable Zellner, was, drugged, it seems, last night. And he was also hit over the head, and there was a murder on board, and so things are heating up. Let's jump right back into the story. Constable Zellner is here in the yellow, and the other constable has asked him, Constable Oliver has asked him how he slept. And we're going to say we did not sleep voluntarily.
I didn't fall asleep voluntarily.
It doesn't matter. We got along just fine without you.
Ha! Yeah, Constable Oliver is very jealous of us and doesn't like us at all. Doesn't like our character at all, I should say. What knocked me out like that? I think he would want to know more about the suspects and what happened with the murder investigation since he was put out of the way.
Have you arrested anyone yet?
You mean besides the Arab?
He could hardly have committed the murder. You must have been with him when it happened.
We heard the shot on the forecastle. I locked our friend in the detention cell in the cargo hold and then went up to assist LeGrand. You were already sleeping the sleep of the just.
Okay. So I told you that was an innocent man that they were arresting, but we all knew that.
Any other suspects?
No. Seconds after the alarm went off, the decks were swarming with frightened passengers.
Yes. A clever way to stay incognito during the commotion.
But we still have our primary suspect, the Raven.
You really think he's returned?
Well, I think that no one knows as much about the Raven as LeGrand.
But still, it all seems so incredible.
It does, agreed. Everything that's been happening is amazing, incredible. It's a great murder mystery so far. Let's ask about the progression of events.
What's the state of play? How was the Baroness killed?
The Baroness was shot in the chest at close range. We'll know more once the doc finishes examining the body in the medical centre.
And no one saw anything suspicious?
No one saw a shadowy raven leaving the Baroness's cabin, if that's what you mean. A lot of people heard the gunshot. Inspector LeGrand wants to question the passengers again this morning once they've all calmed down, and he's had a chance to examine the evidence.
Was there any evidence at the crime scene?
I suppose that you and LeGrand inspected the crime scene and the surroundings.
Of course. And we already hit the jackpot. The murder weapon.
Really? Where did you find it?
On the gangway. The gangway for boarding the ship folds up and hooks onto the hull when it's not being used. The murderer probably wanted to throw the gun into the sea. He casually dropped it overboard.
But it landed on the gangway.
Bad luck.
But LeGrand and I were on the side deck right after the shot. There was no one there.
Maybe the murderer threw the gun away later. We recovered it in the early hours.
And let's find out finally what knocked out Constable Zellner. I mean, in the last episode, it ended with Constable Zellner out cold on the deck.
I didn't pass out last night because of the blow to my head, did I?
Seems unlikely. Inspector LeGrand thinks you were drugged.
But how? The champagne.
Who gave you the glass of champagne?
Captain de Conti.
Interesting.
Very interesting. But if you'll go back and look at the previous episode, you'll see that someone held the glass of champagne prior to Captain de Conti holding the glass of champagne. So, I'll leave you to go look for that clue.
It should be possible to find traces of the tranquilizer in the glass. About the champagne, shouldn't it be possible to find traces of the tranquilizer in the glass?
That is exactly what LeGrand is trying to do.
Without a laboratory?
Oh, he's got a lab. His cabin is packed with all the latest forensic stuff. It's quite impressive what the inspector can do.
A competent man, no doubt, and surprisingly well prepared.
And diligent. He's been at it all night with his brushes and tinctures and glasses and everything, working like a man possessed. I wouldn't want to be the Raven now.
I think I'll look for Inspector LeGrand now.
Do what you think's best.
You won't get rid of me. I'm here to stay, Constable Oliver.
Be that as it may, Inspector LeGrand ordered me to guard the cargo hold with our special guest. That's fine by me. Inspector LeGrand may be able to get by without sleep for days on end, but not me. It's not easy playing with the big boys, Constable Zellner.
No, it certainly isn't.
Ah, yes. Constable Oliver has a bit of a chip on his shoulder. So we want to go and see LeGrand, but before we do so, I want to see what's in the saloon. Because this is where the drugged... Looks like there's nothing for us to click on in here. Anything to look at in here? Enter the afterdeck. Okay, that sounds funny. The afterdeck. Oh, the afterdeck. Now I get it. Okay, there's really... I don't think there's going to be too much for us to look at, but I just thought we'd do some exploring. We can't go down this way. There's a rope on these stairs over here. So, there's a deck chair that we can examine. What the heck? Let's do that.
I'd really like to lie in the sun and take a nap, but I don't have time for that at the moment.
Oh, that's funny. And now it says lie in the sun.
No, Jakob. Business before pleasure.
I wanted to see what it would say. We can go to the side deck. We can just go around this way. And be greeted by another little loading screen. And we don't want to go back to the after deck. This deck, the side deck, is called the fish deck. You can see it on the sign up here. It says FYSCH, the fish deck. Examine the crates. Before I do all of that, let's go down and see the inspector, since he is got the most juicy information to share with us. Okay, here we are on the bottom deck. Ah, the medical center. We'll want to go there next. There's a pen board.
An evacuation plan? And some tips from the doctor for avoiding seasickness, sunburn, and the like. And here, a schedule of activities. A drink with the captain, a shuffleboard competition on the forecastle. That's about it. A real barrel of fun.
I love the way he says schedule. Sexual. Examine the alarm. What the heck? Why not?
An alarm like this one was set off yesterday. This one hasn't been set off. The security seal is intact.
So the alarm set off was what we think the murderer did to create a commotion, bring the passengers out, and mill among the passengers so that it would be easier to remain undetected as the murderer. Oh, there's a plant over here.
A pitiful attempt to make the interior of the ship seem less dreary. A bit of paint on the walls would have helped more, especially since a plant won't survive long without daylight. There are little stones in the flower pot. Not only does the poor plant have to make do without sunlight, it doesn't have any soil either.
Okay. Oh, and you can take some stones. I was thinking that's...
Really? What am I supposed to do with stones?
I don't know. This is an adventure game.
Although, sooner or later...
That's what I said. Sooner or later, we'll need those. Okay, little stones.
Small, even stones. Probably easier to handle on a ship than real soil.
Okay. So with all of that, let's go up to the journal here, because there's a little bit more to find out about. We've already looked at gunshot in the cargo hold and Captain DeConti and the 3 keys, which, if you remember, are there are 3 keys needed to open the safe, which holds the second eye of the Sphinx, the jewel, which is what our thief is after. Let's look at the murder of Baroness von Trebitz. The Baroness was murdered while LeGrand, Constable Oliver, and Dr. Gebhardt were searching for the shadow that the constable spotted. We heard the shot, and moments later we were at the Baroness's cabin. The door was locked from the inside, and the Baroness was dead. She was lying on her bed in a pool of blood, so that's important to note that the door was locked from the inside, which means that the murderer did not leave through that door. Dr. Gebhardt pronounced her dead, but couldn't say anything further about the circumstances. Was the Baroness drugged before she was murdered? She seemed quite unsteady and seemed very drowsy when we met her on the stairs. So that may be because we also drank champagne, Constable Zellner did, and he was also drugged. So the champagne bottle itself was drugged. Interesting. And let's see what else we have here. Unconsciousness. I felt unconscious last night. When I left the saloon with the others, I wasn't feeling all that well, and it only got worse from there. I collapsed on the side deck just as the fire alarm went off. There was a tranquilizer in the champagne that I drank last night in the saloon, and that explains the drowsiness and the unconsciousness. So, we also have some clues and evidence that we can look at over here. We have LeGrand has supposedly found the murder weapon. We're going to want to ask him about that. It seems like if I was a murderer and I wanted to make an important piece of evidence disappear, I'd make damn sure it really did disappear. So this is probably a planted clue to distract the investigators. Let's go to the door of LeGrand's cabin.
That is LeGrand's cabin.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. Glad to know that. Let's open it up.
Come in. Ah, Zellner. Are you ready?
Good morning, Inspector LeGrand. My head is pounding, but I think I'm okay.
Chloral hydrate.
Hmm?
That's why you have a headache. I found traces of it in your champagne glass.
Ah, chloral hydrate. Okay, so...
And this chloral hydrate?
Is a tranquilizer. Can be dissolved in alcohol. The effect begins in minutes and lasts for hours. Who gave you the glass of champagne?
Captain DeConti, according to him, but I'm going to click on not sure because someone handled that before Captain DeConti.
I think it was the captain, but he could have got the glass from someone else.
Find out.
Understood.
Okay, that's our first task. And then the circumstances of the crime.
What have you found out so far?
The Baroness was shot in the chest at close range. We heard the shot. The murderer quickly fled the cabin and dropped the murder weapon over the railing later. A simple story so far.
But why was her cabin door locked?
Exactly. If the murderer wanted to make it seem like a suicide, he'd have shot her in the head and left the gun at the crime scene.
And if it was murder, why did he go to all the trouble of locking the door from inside? And how did he manage that anyway?
Especially since we arrived just a few seconds later and didn't see anyone near the cabin.
Something doesn't make sense here.
No, it doesn't, and it's driving me crazy.
Clues abound. But I wonder if the Inspector LeGrand suspects the jewel thief, the Raven, to be the murderer as well.
You think that the jewel thief is the murderer?
Our friend would have needed another key to open the safe and steal the second eye, the one the Baroness was carrying. At least, that's what we implied.
What do you mean?
The Baroness was famous for her forgetfulness. I convinced her to give me the third key. It seems safer for the eye.
The thief searches the Baroness's cabin looking for the third key.
She returns from the saloon earlier than expected.
Surprises him, and he can't allow her to identify him.
He imprisons her until the coast is clear, and then shoots her.
And thus, the thief becomes a murderer.
But still doesn't have all the keys.
Well, I'm glad that he did take that key, or the jewel will be gone.
Do you really think that the Raven is behind all this?
He wrote the letter that was on the safe in the train. Without the letter, we wouldn't have opened the safe, and the bomb wouldn't have exploded.
But it doesn't seem like him, does it? The Raven was famous in part because he never hurt anyone, much less killed anyone, during a burglary.
It's his handwriting, and he called me Nico. No one else does that. I chased that man across Europe for years. It is him. It has to be him.
But the evidence...
Enough.
That's never a good thing when the inspector is unwilling, to listen to even the evidence. He's got such a set idea. That usually means that he's being led astray. Let's ask about the murder weapon.
Did you find the murder weapon?
On the gangway on the side of the ship. I suspect the murderer tried to drop it into the sea. He would have stood close to the railing to let it fall unseen.
And since he doesn't know the ship, he had bad luck and dropped it right onto the gangway.
Indeed. And do you find that probable?
Not a bit.
Neither do I.
At least they're smart enough to see through that. The safe is right there, and I wonder if it's been opened.
Are you sure that there's no bomb inside this time?
Professor Lucien locked it in front of an audience, and it will be opened for the first time in Cairo.
Let's hope so.
It would take hours to crack it, and you'd need heavy machinery.
Or the keys.
Or the 3 keys, that's right.
What kind of a gun is it?
A pistol, a Luger 08.
Antique.
Manufactured 1,000,000 times during and after the First World War. Austrian model. The owner is David Kreutzer, the violinist.
Oh!
We found him tonight totally drunk on the bow of the ship. He confirmed that it's his gun, but he claims that it was stolen from him.
Fingerprints?
Nothing. But it's worth mentioning that the clip was missing 2 bullets.
And it's definitely the murder weapon.
The ballistic tests are incomplete. Actually, I've been waiting far too long for the bullet recovered from the corpse. Pay the good doctor a visit, Zellner, and see that he does his job.
Okay. So, David Kreutzer is the the violinist with the shaky hands who tried and failed, because we caught him, to steal Baroness von Trebett's purse. So he's a shady, underhanded dude. And let's ask about him.
Do you believe the violinist?
He'll be the first person I question. He claims he can't remember anything from the last few hours. Says he drank a bottle of schnapps.
He was on the train, and he doesn't have an alibi. His drunkenness could be a smokescreen.
He fits the profile. He travels a lot, has access to high society. Could be interesting.
I'll be on my way. I want to find out who gave me the drugged champagne.
Good idea. And get the bullet from Dr. Gebhardt.
Of course. Inspector LeGrand, are you okay? Maybe you should take a break.
I can sleep once I've caught the Raven. Goodbye, Constable.
Be seeing you.
Inspector LeGrand is going to push himself too hard and end up collapsing. And then we'll have to come in and save the day.
LeGrand is risking not just his career, but his health as well on his hunt for the Raven. He's working like a demon. Maybe that's why he caught the Raven and no one else.
Okay, let's go first and visit the good doctor and see if he's plied that bullet out of her.
Come in.
Oh, poor Baroness.
Hello, Dr. Gebhardt.
And there's the next one.
Excuse me?
You want something else from me, don't you?
I'm afraid I do.
What a first day at work. Well?
He's an unlikable character, but he's voiced very well. We want the bullet. Let's get right to it.
Have you already removed the bullet?
Did LeGrand send you? What is that Frenchman's problem? I already told you. I will get in touch as soon as I have it. That is also what I told the constable, who he kept sending all night long, once I finally got rid of LeGrand himself.
Did he look over your shoulder?
He probably wanted to take the scalpel from my hand and hack away himself. But this is my surgery, and I will not let amateurs interfere with my work.
That's understandable. How much longer will it take?
I have just finished. Send my regards to His Majesty.
Thanks.
And let's see if he found anything else in the body, particularly any traces of chlorohydrate.
What's the result of your examination of the victim?
She is dead.
I didn't make you work all night long, Dr. Gebhardt.
She was shot. Point-blank shot. Probably with a pistol. It seems like she was lying in bed. The shot struck her hard. She died immediately.
One shot?
More were unnecessary. And we only heard one shot, no?
And there's just one entrance wound.
Just one.
But the gun had 2 shots missing from it.
I am told that I was drugged.
That's how it seems.
What can you tell me about it?
Me? Why should that be my business?
Haven't you analyzed the glass?
No, I haven't. The inspector said he's the better chemist. I let him do it. That way I could at least concentrate on the body.
Was the Baroness drugged?
Do you think the Baroness might have been drugged? She was very tired and unsteady when LeGrand and I saw her.
Yeah, I heard about that. I must have just missed her in the saloon. And without having seen her myself, it is hard to make a diagnosis.
Of course. Can you say something about her general health?
She was quite overweight, and the butler said that she suffered from diabetes. Despite that, she hadn't visited a doctor for several years.
Doesn't sound good.
Happens more frequently than you might suppose. Some people are scared of doctors and pay with an early death. It is possible that the Baroness wouldn't have lived much longer anyway.
So, the Baroness was drugged with the chlorohydrate, which we already knew, but she was going to reveal something at 10 p.m., and she specifically asked for the inspector to be there. And remember, she also had quite a shock before entering the ship, before coming onto the MS Lydia. It was as if she had seen someone that she knew. So we really need to get into the Baroness's cabin and examine it from top to stern.
Do you know whose glass I drank from?
What do you mean?
Captain de Conti handed me a glass of champagne. But where did he get it?
I don't know. Did you ask him?
I'm just asking because you were also in the saloon when the champagne was served.
Yes, but I only entered the saloon a few seconds before you did. I didn't manage to get a drink myself.
Which, in retrospect, is lucky.
Ah, you're right about that.
I think that's it for now.
No. That is it for now, then, and later. I'm going to lie down for a few hours. Can you tell that to your boss?
But... Could I at least have the key?
Absolutely not.
But if we have to examine the victim again...
Then the esteemed inspector knows where to find me. In my cabin. In bed. Good night, Constable Zellner.
You know, as much as I felt like the doctor was pretty shady, I think he's probably innocent. We'll see. At this point, we're going to continue to explore the ship, gather clues, definitely get into the Baroness's cabin. And we'll do that in the next episode. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please hit the thumbs up button below and encourage me. And if you loved what you saw, join the party, the ever-growing party, and subscribe. We're just moving right through Chapter 1 of The Raven, Legacy of the Master Thief. This chapter is called The Eye of the Sphinx. There are 2 more chapters to come of the story, and I am personally greatly enjoying this game. If you are, let me know in the comments below. And also, if you've seen any clues that I may have missed, let me know as well. Let's see if we can all figure out who did it. As always, and as I said before, I want to thank you so much for watching. See you back on the MS Lydia in the next episode. Get every new Jessa channel video right in your email inbox. Subscribe, then from your YouTube homepage, click Manage Subscriptions, then check Email with new uploads. And thanks for watching.